Hi, my name is Dave, and I would like to tell you a story. It's a big story, though, because it's composed of countless smaller stories. In order to tell you this big story, though, I will tell you 50 of the smaller stories, one in each state. Before I do that, though, I'd like to tell you my story. I was born and raised in a very small town, and I left there as soon as I could to join the Army and to get some adventure and see the world. And for the next 17 years, I did just that. I moved around a lot, I saw a bunch of different countries, and on one deployment, I managed to circumnavigate the globe, going there and coming back, and thought that was pretty cool to have under my belt, that I've actually been around the world. But that's not the story I want to tell you about. In 2003, I was in my first tour in Iraq, and I started blogging. And that led me to being invited to appear on NewsHour with Jim Lehrer on PBS as part of a panel on military blogging. Hurricane Katrina hit when that was scheduled to happen, though, so that didn't go down. I was also mentioned on the online edition of the Wall Street Journal, kind of being pointed out as the liberal / anti-war alternative to most of the super gung-ho conservative military bloggers. My second tour in Iraq, 2005 and 2006, led to me starting a podcast called Watch It Burn that became very popular, and I did 15 episodes in Iraq. During the first 9 months of my production of that, it was downloaded or streamed online over 360,000 times in 38 countries. It was also, a segment of it was featured on a Memorial Day show on an NPR show, On Point, I believe, in Memorial Day of 2006. I was talking about a buddy that we had lost at the time, and that was mentioned by anyway, a friend of mine was on the show talking about it. It was also an episode broadcast in its entirety by pirate radio stations across the eastern seaboard of the United States. I'm not telling you all this to boast, though. I'm telling you this because I'm presenting my credentials, so to speak, as a citizen journalist. Because to tell this story, I want you to realize that I have what it takes to do so. I'm a combat veteran who has the dedication and the motivation and the fortitude to stick to a mission, and I have the experience as a veteran podcaster and as a blogger and as now an online radio host to tell the story to you properly. The story I'm talking about, though, is about the Occupy movement, but not in a way that you might be familiar with. Once again, I live in a small town, and a lot of my neighbors, us being far from the main action of Occupy, a lot of my neighbors don't really know what it's about. They don't really see it as something that would apply to them. And I know, though, from my own experience, from seeing just 2 cities that are near us that are fairly small, there is actually small but dedicated groups of occupiers that are there. And so my plan is to present a web series where I will travel from one state to the next to all 50 states to interview small Occupy groups all around the country. And I am planning on interviewing them, presenting it on a weekly internet radio show where I will discuss my journeys, place parts of the interviews, and take callers to discuss it. I will also be posting the interviews as podcasts. I will take streaming video events wherever I can. My hope is to document what I see as an important part of our nation's history unfolding, and to also show that the people involved in Occupy in the small towns, just because they don't get the limelight that the bigger cities do, does not mean that they're not there. And I'm also hoping to show that they have the same concerns and the same hopes and the same values that their neighbors do, that they're just average Americans just like the rest of us. So thank you for your time. Thank you for putting up with my rambling on this video, as I'm not really good at talking to a camera. And thank you for your support.